is Heather Ann Antonacci, Executive Coach and Chair with Vistage, Florida. And I am joined today by Kathy Bamberg. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Hello, Heather Ann. I'm doing well. How are you today?
Wonderful, wonderful. Kathy is a commercial insurance broker with Gallagher, and we have been planning and strategizing this podcast for a little while now, so very happy that that we finally were able to pull it together, and we're hoping technology is our best friend today. So
yes.
You never know what can happen.
Fingers crossed.
We'll go with it. We'll just go with it. So thank you again for joining me. I've been looking forward to this. And you know, why don't we start by letting anyone who's listening or watching this know, about your journey, about Gallagher Insurance and how you, Kathy Bamberg, ended up with Gallagher Insurance. What's that journey been like?
Okay, wonderful. Well, first of all, thank you so much for offering me this opportunity to be on your podcast, and very grateful to be talking with you today and sharing my journey. So I have been on my professional journey for about 30 years now. I grew up in a small town in Delaware and went south for my education and got a degree in financial management from Clemson University. And from there, I moved on to New Orleans due to a relationship I was in, and worked a couple years at Tulane University. And from there, I moved up to Columbus, Ohio, and that's where my insurance career began. I worked for Blue Cross and Blue Shield in Columbus, and did that for about 4 years. And then I started my family, so I took a little bit of time off before I wanted to get back to re-entering the workforce. At that time, my career pivoted just a bit, and I had a role in the pharmaceutical industry, and did that for a little over 7 years, and actually transferred to Naples, Florida, where I'm currently located, about 15 years ago.
That's quite a pivot, Kathy. Insurance to pharmaceutical, that's quite a pivot.
Well, each step along the way is kind of built on one another. So, when I was in insurance, it was on the health insurance side, whereas now I'm on the property and casualty side. So that background in the health insurance opened up that door in pharmaceutical, and I was looking for a part-time opportunity. And so the company afforded me a job share opportunity. So it was kind of a win-win. I could work part-time, help raise my family. I had to learn a new industry, but my core skill has been the same along the way. So I have been a client executive in different roles, serving the needs of my clients with whatever product or service I was representing at the time. So that's what's been consistent, is my role as that client. So
the products have changed, but or the services, but how you provide the service hasn't.
Correct, in terms of me providing that service. So
yeah,
exactly. Right.
Okay, so take us. So how did you end up at Gallagher? Tell us about your role. What are you, what are you doing at Gallagher? So what's a day look like for you?
Okay, so after the move to Florida, I did a couple things, and eventually made my way back into insurance with a local independent agency, Gallagher Insurance. We were one of the largest in the region. And in 2017, following Hurricane Irma, we were a merger partner with Gallagher at the same time.
Okay.
So it's about 3 years ago that we became a partner with Gallagher. And I'm very happy with the merger. It was a really good fit for me, both personally and professionally, in learning about them. They are one of the top 3 global brokers in the world, and their culture, their people, everything about Gallagher really resonated with me. And very early on, I was able to work with a lot of our consultants around the country, and it just really opened up a lot of doors for me, and being able to expand, my service offering. And we didn't really talk about kind of my personal goals. My personal goals and missions and passions really go hand in hand with my career. I'm really passionate about helping others, whether it's personally, helping my community. I'm a leadership Collier graduate, or helping the businesses that I work with. So Gallagher just gives me a larger platform in helping me expand that outside of just the local area that I'm in. So, their values it's called the Gallagher Way. So for over 30 years, they have a shared value, and their culture. They've been recognized as one of the world's most ethical companies for 11 years now. And it's an exclusive list of some top 100 companies around the world, and we're the only insurance broker to ever be on the list. So I'm very proud, and it's the type of company that I want to be associated with. So ethics, integrity, and pursuing excellence. So 25 tenets, and all 25 resonated with me.
Wow, that's a great company to be associated with that makes a list like that. And it's interesting because I was going to ask you, what do you love about insurance and what do you love about Gallagher? And I think you just answered what you love about Gallagher, and it's that alignment, right? The alignment that you've been able to find between the values and the mission of Gallagher's, organization-wise, and then your personal values and mission. What do you love about the insurance industry? You've been doing it for a long time, and you switched, and did something else kind of similar, but what do you love about the insurance industry? What keeps you in it?
Well, I'm a very analytical person to begin with, so a lot of analysis goes into insurance, especially on the property and casualty side. So you're analyzing a program, and I've always liked puzzles, so I like to figure out how to solve problems. And insurance is definitely one industry that you have problems, and there's a lot of improvements to be made. And so in addition to helping business, I like to see businesses succeed, and I really enjoy helping other businesses succeed, and insurance is a great way to do that.
That's great, and I share that high. So that's what I get the same high, helping businesses be successful. I say I get to live vicariously through the clients that I serve because they're business owners, and I get to, watch that. And you're in a similar situation. It's that feeling when you know that even if it's in some small way, you've contributed to the success of someone's business venture or, someone's organization. It is a great high that you get. It really is. It's nice to be able to ride that wave. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because, obviously the current environment that we're in with the pandemic and, where we are now and where we, were a few months ago, what has changed in terms of the commercial insurance industry and how you service your clients? Have you had to pivot it's an overused term these days, but it's still, is appropriate. Have you had to pivot or change how you service your clients, or are they looking for something different from you than they were prior to this?
Okay, a very good question. And like many other businesses out there, we are all working pretty much 100% remote. And fortunately, we haven't missed a beat other than a few technology every now and then, going out in our homes, in our vehicles and wherever we might be. And then just the challenges of working out of your home. But it really hasn't interrupted. We've had minor interruption to our service model. All of the carriers in the markets are 100% open. So we're able to renew policies. We're able to bind policies. We're able to service policies. Claims are able to be paid. So we have full access to all of our markets, all of our consultants. Gallagher has 33,000 employees around the globe. And so in fact, last week I was on calls with one of our national consultants about a new opportunity in the Midwest. And then I worked with my counterparts at Gallagher Benefit Services out of Chicago. So, we're still holding our meetings. We're just doing it remotely, either by phone, Zoom, et cetera. So that really hasn't interrupted it as much, but we've had to pivot in terms of how we're helping them. And insurance brokers play a really big role. In fact, it's a huge role that we're playing right now in stabilizing not only businesses and the economy, but helping them move forward. They're struggling. I just had a call from one of my clients right before lunch. They're closing their one main office immediately. So it's being shut down. So they're shutting down locations. They are laying off furlough employees, and
Yeah.
their supply chain is being interrupted. So they've had numerous disruptors because of the pandemic. And fortunately, one of the value propositions that Gallagher offers, we've had not only resources, webinars, but also specific strategies that we can help them protect their balance sheet, drive positive cash flow, and keep them operational and hopefully not bankrupt. Over the weekend, I heard that bankruptcies were up, I think, around 48% in the month of May versus a year ago. I mean, we hear about it in the news. Everything you see in the news and you hear on the news, we're hearing from our clients. So,
are you finding, Kathy, that a lot of your time is spent now educating your clients on, on maybe some services that, Gallagher's always offered, but they weren't in a position that they really needed to take advantage of, and now things, the tide has shifted, and you're spending a lot of time educating them on other things that you can do to help them support their business?
Great question. And yes, we are doing a lot more education. So we've always had, and I'll go back a little bit about Gallagher. We have over 22 dedicated practice groups in multiple industries. So each one of those practice groups have had their own set of guidelines and preparedness for COVID, coverage implications, how are claims going to be reported, how you want to return to work safely. So, we're talking about healthcare, senior living, higher education, all those different industry groups. Each one of those groups have been set, preparing the white papers, the guidelines that we've been sending out to our clients and then other partners and prospects that we may be talking to. So yes, the education increased dramatically. In addition to the white papers, we've also been hosting our own webinars. And we've done that with those strategies I talked about a little while ago, but then also those individual practice groups have had their own strategies. So most recently, our transportation group had one, our higher education practice group had a webinar. So the individual practice groups are hosting them as well. In addition to the practice, we have our dedicated specialists around surrounding coverage. So management liability, cyber liability from a mobile workforce, and how is that impact? I mean, these are all costs that, disruptors to their business that can have an impact on their bottom line. And again, our role is we're trying to help protect that balance sheet. And so we're giving strategies and education and resources to help do that.
What's interesting is, a lot of these disruptors that business owners are experiencing, they could happen, at any time, but a lot of them maybe were not written into a solid business plan. You know what I mean? Like everybody, every business has some type of cybersecurity, right? I mean, you have to be protected. But to the extent that you need to be now, if you have, turned your workforce into a remote workforce, and just things like that, disruptors that probably weren't part of your general business plan. And again, when companies are established and up and running, and certainly a company as large as Gallagher, how often are they going back and looking at the business plan? So it's just very interesting, the things that the pandemic has brought to light and forced business owners to revisit, to reevaluate.
Right, very true. And you mentioned Gallagher, we actually implemented or activated, I should say, our business continuity plan mid-March. So that's when we activated ours. So we're also assisting our customers with business continuity planning as well. Our guidelines to help them there.
That's great. What does the future look like? And you can take this from an industry perspective, or maybe just from Gallagher. I mean, however way you want to answer the question. But when you look ahead, you look ahead 3 years, you look ahead 5 years, you look ahead a year. I mean, what does the future look like?
All right. Well, I'll start first with Gallagher. To start, our stock price has been increasing the last 10 years. And, I just talked previously about how we've been working remotely since mid-March and fully operational. And this last month and quarter, we had positive results come in. We've been retaining clients that are also growing in new business. So the outlook looks very, very bright. And I'm very encouraged
That's
by what I see, within my own company. In terms of the industry, we probably will be seeing some changes in the terms of consolidation. So what we're finding, and you may have heard this from your other podcast, technology is becoming more and more a bigger role in the insurance world, and the smaller agencies, they don't have the capabilities or the financial resources to keep up with that technology. So we expect more consolidation in the insurance industry.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, I was just having a conversation with someone earlier, and I said, for as many businesses that this has had a negative impact, there are quite a few businesses and industries where this has actually had, from a business standpoint, not from a personal standpoint, where this has actually had a positive impact. And a lot of that is coming through, mergers and acquisitions, honestly. So it's interesting to see how different it is, not only across industries, but across the individual corporations, businesses inside those industries. And a lot of it's dependent on the size too. But, it's about sustainability and it's about cash flow.
Right.
And it appears that those companies that weren't where they needed to be for this type of, for something like a pandemic, in terms of cash flow, that's been a real challenge. So yeah, it's interesting to see how it's unfolding every day, right? Every day is something different through this.
Yes.
Let me ask you, so we've talked about, what you do, and about Gallagher and really how you do that and how you service, your clients. But, the insurance industry is a very crowded space, right? And, Gallagher obviously has managed to stay where they are and be very successful and continue to grow in a very crowded space. And you obviously have worked in a very crowded space. So when you get down to the heart of it, because there are so many options out there for clients, why would someone be better served, doing business with Gallagher or doing business with Kathy than they would be someone else that operates in that space?
Okay, that's a great question. And there's three critical reasons why they would choose Gallagher in my mind. Number one,
well, you've got the inside track, so.
I do have the inside track. First, the expertise, the servicing, and our culture. We hear that from clients all the time. We unmatched national expertise, which I mentioned earlier, the practice groups that we have within the industries, the coverage expertise. Second critical area is how we evaluate the risk management program. So we use a holistic Core 360 approach in evaluating the program, and we're looking at all the 6 cost drivers of their program. So we're not just looking at the insurance premium, how can we, help that, keep the premium down. We're looking at all the cost drivers, like the structure of the program, coverage gaps, uninsured and uninsurable risk, their contractual liability. And we're doing that every year. And what we do is we leverage our analytical tools, resources, all of those, that I mentioned earlier. And that's all designed to decrease that total cost of risk and increase their profitability. And we do that each and every year. It's not a once and done. We don't just come in, do it, and then say, okay, there you go, you're set. We'll go back each year. We do a strategic review about 90 to 120 days prior to the renewal. We talk about how we've improved the program on those 6 cost drivers. We talk about the current state of the market, which right now is one of the hardest markets in about 15 years. So we're in a tough market right now. And then we look at strategies to move forward for their renewal for that year. So that's the second reason. And then finally, our service model, they get to work with one advisor, such as myself. So they have one contact information, as opposed to some of the other larger brokers, they hand off their, you get hand off to another department. Whereas Gallagher, you have one advisor. I become deeply familiar with your own individual account, and then what I do is I bring in the power of the Gallagher team to support the needs of that client. So very different service model. So those would be my 3 reasons why clients choose us.
So very, very individualized.
Individualized.
Right, very personal and individualized.
Personally individualized, but having the power of,
Yeah.
resources to be able to help them.
Yeah, the resource, the vast amount of resources that you have available, to kind of create that customized or that personal plan for your clients, and I think if you think about it, and we talked a little bit about technology, and we can joke about, you can love technology on some days and hate technology on others. The reality is that, technology is a big part of the business world, and it's going to continue to become even bigger. But I think that when you're able to do business with an organization like Gallagher, that still really puts us, a strong focus and values that interpersonal contact, that Kathy is my person, Kathy is my point of contact, and I can pick up the phone and I can call Kathy, or maybe I can see Kathy, or we can meet on, a virtual type thing, but you still have that need, for that personal interaction, especially now in the virtual world, but as the virtual world continues to grow. So I think that's great. I mean, I think anytime you can find an organization that values that, I think that's great. So very good.
Especially now more than ever with the crisis that we're in. They're talking to their attorneys, their accountants. I mean, all the people that they have to communicate with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
When they have Gallagher as an insurance partner, they know they can just focus in on the one, and she's going to take care of it, and she's going to bring in, the resources. So very important during this time.
That's great. It helps to alleviate the stress, which no one needs additional stress these days. So that's great. I love that part of it. Let me ask you, okay, so this is probably the most difficult question of the entire interview, because I think this has been pretty easy for you up to this point. I mean, you talk with a lot of passion and enthusiasm about your career and about what you're doing, and about Gallagher actually. But let me throw a hypothetical situation at you and see how you respond to this one. So, now you have to go pre-COVID-19 for this, okay, because the circumstance wouldn't be the same right now. But let's say you're at, busy airport, you're flying out, you're getting ready to go maybe on vacation, a much deserved vacation, and you board the plane, and it's a full plane, and the plane starts to go down the runway, and then there's something that happens mechanical, and the plane has to stop. Now, when the plane stops at that point, you can't get off the plane, right? So there you are, you're stuck on a crowded plane, plane's on the runway, and you have the wonderful misfortune of being in that middle seat. So someone on the right, someone on the left. So you want to make it an ideal situation. If you could pick anyone, who would you have seated to the right of you and to the left of you, and tell me why? Who would you want to spend that time with, and why?
Okay, very interesting and good question. There's definitely a lot of directions you can go with that, from family and friends and all of that. And,
Sure.
I've been blessed to work with so many mentors in my career that, I've learned so much from. So I would love to have any one of them, back on, have that quality time. I would think, I'm going to say on my left, I would choose a female entrepreneur, very famous one, Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, okay, Oprah Winfrey, okay.
We'll find out at the end what, when I tell you my second one, you understand why I chose her. She's been a successful TV host, entrepreneur, philanthropist. She came from very humble background,
Yes.
in the South, from, a teenage mother, and has achieved, an enormous success as a female entrepreneur. The one thing I'm intrigued about her that you don't see, or I don't feel like you see with a lot of celebrities and those that have achieved enormous success, is she seems so genuine at that level. So I really appreciate that, and I respect her, and I would love to just chat with her. She, over the years, when she had her talk show, and all of the, I can tell from her mission, she appears to enjoy helping others. You know, she did that on her talk show, and that resonates with me. I love to help others, and she shows that as well. And then her philanthropy work.
Yeah.
So on the right side, I'm going to a completely different person, and it's someone that's not here today. So this is going to take a little magic. And Dr. Stephen Hawking,
Okay.
famed physicist and professor. But the reason I'm choosing him isn't because of the science and, you know, his intellectual capability. It's because of his ALS diagnosis and how he was able to conquer basically that and live a long life. Both my mother and my aunt, unfortunately, had ALS and passed away. And within 2 years of diagnosis, they both passed. So, you know, when I heard about, you know, Dr. Hawking, saw the movie, I've just been literally blown away that he was able to take that disease. There's no cure. You know, the doctors that worked more so with my mother, I mean, there was no hope given whatsoever. And here he went, I mean, over 50 years that he was able to live with that disease. So I would be fascinated to learn more. You know, a lot of it's already been in print, you know, and things he said and not giving up and, you know, and all that. But to really hear from him, you know, would be fascinating. So different backgrounds, but, you know, both successful, but they both had enormous challenges and were able to work through those challenges. So I would be entertained for hours and engaged for hours talking to either one of them. So that's a little about me.
It would need to be a long flight, because it would be a very interesting conversation. But two very good choices, and you know, it's very easy to see where you draw your inspiration from as well, you know, in picking those two individuals. So yeah, no, that was great choice. I'm sure there were others that came to mind, but that was yeah, but no, that was a great choice. So, you know, some people are going to be listening to this and some are going to be watching it. But for those that are watching, we're going to be able to put up some of your contact information here at the end. But for those listening, if someone wants to find out more about Gallagher, or someone wants to find out more about you or just connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that? And then I'm also going to ask you, does Gallagher have anything coming up that comes to mind? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here to think quickly, but we talked a lot about some of the things that you're doing with, educating people. So if there's anything that Gallagher's doing, whether it's via their website or something beyond that, that you would want to let folks know about in case they're interested in listening to it or joining.
Wonderful. So yes, I would definitely direct them to our website. It's very simple, ajg.com. And we actually have a pandemic hub there, and they can access all of Gallagher's resources right there. Whether it's great. Involving their insurance, their our employee benefits and HR solutions. We didn't even talk about that side of our business. So all of that is under that one hub. They can access it right there.
Okay, that's great.
By phone, they can reach me. Quickest way is through the mobile phone, 239-207-2540. They can find me on LinkedIn, Kathy A. Bamberg, through LinkedIn, and you can see more about my history. And I've watched what I'm following, and I followed and shared a lot of our Gallagher resources there as well. Upcoming with Gallagher, some of our individual industry groups are having some webinars coming up. What I will tell you though, we have replays of some of the previous podcasts. So we had a webinar that was based out of our branch that talked about those specific strategies I was mentioning earlier. I have the replay of that. So if they would like to hear that replay, I can send that out to them as well. So they can email me at Kathy, Kathy _ Bamberg, BAMBERG @ajg.com, and I would be happy to share any of those previous podcasts.
Oh, that's great. No, there's so much information out there. It's nice to have that, so that even if you can't have the opportunity to see it live or, be present when it's happening, you still have the opportunity to get that information. So that's fantastic. Thank you for that. And again, for those of you that are watching, we're going to put up Kathy's contact information here at the end of the interview, so you'll have all that. So, well, Kathy, this has been a real pleasure. I so appreciate you, taking the time out of your day to spend this time with me. Again, we've been working on this for a while, so I'm glad we were able to make it all come together. And I think technology was our friend today, so that's good. I'm happy about that. So in closing, I just want to say again, have spent the last few minutes here with Kathy Bamberg. Kathy is a commercial insurance broker with Gallagher. She is a wealth of information and very accessible and very easy to talk to. So anyone listening or watching this that wants to connect with her and continue the conversation, I really encourage you to do so. So thank you so much for joining me, Kathy.
Thank you so much, Heather Ann. I really appreciate this opportunity. I've loved getting to have the opportunity to talk with you as well and share with your audience.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of the day, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Enjoy this.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.